Hey friends, Joe here with Tech Adventure. This is Lenovo's IdeaPad 9i. This is a brand new thin and light Ultrabook with a gorgeous display, a comfortable keyboard, an interesting trackpad, and overall one of the prettiest laptops I've ever had the pleasure of testing or owning. I really like this, as you can tell, and it's not for everybody, but for the most part, I think anyone who buys this, once they get over the price, they'll be pretty happy. As far as premium Ultrabooks go, I mean, there's a lot of considerations. There's the way it looks and feels, there's how usable it is, implying keyboard, trackpad, display, and battery life, and then of course, what's the performance? So it does depend on the type of use that you do, what's important to you, and that all comes down to who's the ideal buyer, what are the use cases. So I'm not gonna necessarily lead with the conclusion, but let's at least talk about those personas and those use cases before I do the full tour of the device in a moment. So this is really targeted at high-end business users. Now, it's not a ThinkPad with the matte exterior and all of the military testing and specifications, but if you are a business user who doesn't need any of that stuff, you don't need the high durability, you're not going to use your laptop, you know, a mile below the Earth's surface in some kind of high pressure situation, then this would be the way to go, because you get what is, I think, probably the prettiest Windows-based Ultrabook available right now. I mean, what is prettier than this? I've got a great view of it right now. You'll have a better view in a moment when I do an overhead tour. But, you know, effectively, this has everything that you could ask for in a thin and light. It's thin and it's light. It has premium features like this leatherette top that I'll show you in a moment. The fan is super quiet, although it does kick on. Again, the only thing is that price. Now, for performance, you can expect Microsoft Office apps like Microsoft Word, Excel, Outlook to open in under 4 seconds, which isn't screaming fast, but it's right up there with the M1 MacBook Air. And you also get that awesome display, so up to 500 nits. This comes in 2 different configurations. For $1,250, you get the 11th gen Intel i5 with 16 gigs of RAM soldered on and a 512 gig SSD. And then all the way up to $1,800 to get the 500 nits i7, 16 and 512 SSD. The RAM is soldered on, the SSD, I'm not sure yet. I have to crack it open, but I think it's replaceable. Although I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't, because it is so stinking thin. I/O is another consideration and goes back to those use cases. I think a lot of people, at least I hope, have gotten used to not having USB-A ports at this point. You're going to need an adapter if you're USB-A, dependent. Otherwise, it does have 3 USB-C Thunderbolt 4 ports, and it also has a headphone jack, which I think is important to continue to call out in this day and age. So yeah, beautiful device. Let's go ahead and do the tour now. Thanks for watching. So first of all, on the top of this device, we have this really nice sort of leatherette feel on the top. This isn't the first time Lenovo have done this. They've done it before and they did it well. They've done it on the IdeaPad series. So one of the things I love to point out whenever I do an IdeaPad review or a high-end yoga review is to talk about this branding that Lenovo puts on the lip of the Hinge, the laptop here. So this says 9 series. Now on the yoga series, the premium ones say yoga, right? Or in the premium Legion gaming laptops, they say Legion. I think it's just a really nice touch. And it's an attention to detail, because what we often do in these types of like YouTube videos is do the one hand open, right? Where you grab that lip and you lift it up. There is a strong magnet here, so one handing it is possible. It's a little hard. What I've noticed is you have to sort of like use your fingers as leverage. Then you can pull it and lift it right up. Okay, on the right side, you have the camera shutter. This is an electronic shutter. So if you have it in this section, then it'll be on. And if you do it this way, then the camera will close. I'll show you that in a moment. Here you have a Thunderbolt 4 port and the power button. On the back, you can see the hinge, really nice detail, but there are no ports. And then on the left side, you have 2 more Thunderbolt 4 ports and a full-size headphone jack. You'll notice the shape does have the MacBook Air wedge type design. It's not quite as dramatic. It starts out thinner than the MacBook Air. It ends a little thicker than the MacBook Air, just by a hair. But, you know, generally speaking, it has that wedge design. And I've shown you the front already. Let's check out the back. The back is all honeychrome there. And yeah, here's just instructions on how to use the automated Think shutter. There are some feet. The feet are pretty thin. Okay, so now opening this up, do that one-hander again. This is where things get super interesting. So that from the deck forward, it's all pretty thin. There isn't a lot of room here for trackpad. In fact, it's really hard to see the trackpad. I've got the camera at an angle such that you can see it. It starts right here. It's this frame, but it doesn't have an obvious trackpad. So it is here. You can click it. I'm not sure if that's coming through, but it's not as pronounced as other trackpads. Another thing that's hard to see is that there is a fingerprint reader. Try to angle it here. You can see the thumbprint, or fingerprint. Right above that is the actual fingerprint reader. It's super hard. There it is. Yeah, it's really hard to pick up on camera. And I think that if you were to remove this sticker, which I'm apt to do, I don't like having stickers on my machines, I might forget exactly where the thumb reader or the fingerprint reader is. So that could be a problem, but remains to be seen precisely. You have two speaker grills on the side, a regular keyboard, there's room for a number pad, and then you have some dedicated media keys such as controlling the brightness. And there are several build options on this. I'm currently testing the middle option, which is a 4K display, 500 nits with HDR. It is a beautiful touch display. There's an example of touch. And it is an 11th gen Core i7 1165 G7, which is the 4-core? Yeah, it's the 4 quad-core CPU from Intel. 16 gigs of soldered RAM, no upgradability, and a 512 gigabyte SSD. Again, I mentioned it's a 14-inch display. It does have the Iris Xe graphics. I'm not going to be testing this for gaming because let's be real. And it does also come with a carrying case. So this is the included case. It's about what you can expect from a free included case. So that's saying something. And there is a funky smell. So just a heads up on that, Lenovo. I don't think that was intentional. And there are some magnets to keep it in place. Now this isn't going to really protect your device from a drop, but it will protect it from sliding across the desk and getting little micro scratches on it and that type of thing. The keyboard is really excellent. So we'll do a quick, do it in WordPad here. Quick typing test on it. So only one typo. I really like this keyboard. I think it's super comfortable and easy to use. It's shallow, but it's stiff, if that makes sense. Let's do just a sound test on the keys. I find it really nice to use. Okay, one more comment here is the hinge. It does go all the way flat, okay, but it doesn't go all the way around. That's why it's not a Yoga, it's an IdeaPad. As you go even lower, it does start to scoot, right, which will then lift the back up. So it's just something to note. It's not about the hinge tension or anything like that. It's just literally the physicality of how it was put together. It's not a plus or minus. It's just sort of something that I think you should pay attention to. This is a 4K display. Hey, it's a 14-inch display. I don't think you need 4K, but if you wanted to get the 1080p option, it's $1,250 and the specs are the same otherwise. Now this will be hard to pick up on camera here. Actually, the easiest way might be to turn on the camera app. Okay, quiet down. There's your sound test. Okay, so now you get to see me. Let's go full screen. All right, so you see that notification light at the top indicating that the camera is on. I'm going to flip the switch. Camera's off. Camera's on. All right, so all I'm doing is I'm using this. There you go, on and off. Okay, so that's the tour of the IdeaPad Slim 9i rather, to indicate that it's an Intel processor. I'm going to do some testing on this, get back to you guys with a more comprehensive video. Hopefully you found this helpful, and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.